So, today's Fermi problem is about track and field and aliens. Let's check out this animation to see what I'm talking about. Here you are on Earth in 2015. Things are going well until all of a sudden some aliens come down and they suck you up. Once the aliens suck you up, they end up taking off, traveling through time, and dropping you off in the year 2100. In the year 2100, the Olympics are going on, and the aliens take you to watch the pole vault. As you watch the winning vaulter run down the track and vault over the bar, you realize that he just cleared 7.5 meters. Now, having seen the pole vault, the aliens give you a proposition. You must accurately predict the winning 100-meter dash time in order for them to let you go free. How do you do it? Assuming we had access to the records for the 100-meter dash through 2015, we could model a point for every world record holder and determine a linear trend line through this data. The only data point to majorly diverge from this trend was Usain Bolt's 2009 performance. If we continued this downward trending slope through the year 2100, we would expect that the world record in 2100 would be 8.97 seconds. So why does this number for pole vault matter? In an article entitled Mathematical Analysis of Running Performance and World Records, the authors predict an ultimate human limit for the men's 100-meter dash to be 9.37 seconds. Perhaps the pole vault result can tell us if this limit has been reached or if the downward sloping trend has continued. After all, mathematicians haven't been that great at predicting the 100-meter dash world record. In the 70s, it was thought that no human could ever beat 9.6 seconds, while the current world record is 9.58 seconds. When we look at the historical pole vault records, we can see that this sport has been defined by the different technology in the poles that were used. We see the progression of the records set by wooden poles, metal poles made of aluminum arose for a brief stint, and then fiberglass carbon composite poles took over the sport. As we turn to our analysis of pole vault, we seek to understand what this new record can tell us about the limits for human velocity. Sergei Bobka is a world-renowned Ukrainian pole vaulter, and while his record fell in 2014, many still claim that he had the highest vault in history and could have cleared a height as high as 6.5 meters had the bar been raised that high. I'll use the analysis of this vault to determine what our pole vault record can tell us about the limits for human velocity. At the time of his legendary vault, Sergei Bobka weighed 80 kilograms and was clocked at running 9.94 meters per second just before his takeoff. We can convert these numbers to a kinetic energy figure to figure out the amount of energy that he brought to the vault at the point of the pole plant. We can compare this takeoff energy with the energy required to get 6.5 meters off the ground. However, it's not this simple. The fiberglass poles that were used lost 6% of their energy throughout the vault, so there's actually an additional energy that the vaulter would have to surmount to clear 6.5 meters. We can do a simple subtraction and find out the additional energy put in by the vaulter over the course of their vault. We see that this additional input energy is the same amount of energy it would have taken Bobka to lift his center of mass 1.8 meters off the ground. As we watch the clip of his vault, we can see that he levers his body up as he transitions from hanging on the pole from almost doing a handstand on the top of the pole. The distance that he moves his center of mass seems like it could be about 1.85 meters, so this number seems plausible. Now, what would it take to get a vault of 7.5 meters? We can assume that the vaulter has similar proportions of Sergei Bobka and that they were able to do a similar amount of work throughout the vault. When we do this, we can run scenarios for different improvements in the pole technology and find the different takeoff velocities required for a vaulter to get 7.5 meters. So, how do we use this to predict the 100-meter dash? Well, I'm going to try to establish bounds for the upper and lower limit on the 100-meter dash that will help us make a prediction. I'm going to use the 8.97 limit from the linear trend as the ultimate lower limit for the 100-meter dash. The linear model is very aggressive, and most people think you should use a logarithmic model to try to find a limit that represents the human limit for the 100 meters. So I'm going to say 8.97 is the absolute lowest I would ever guess for the 100-meter dash in 2100. And to get an upper bound on this, I'm going to take these simulated pole vault takeoff velocities and extrapolate that to the 100 meters, because historically, the average velocity for a 100-meter runner has been slightly faster than the takeoff velocity for a pole vaulter. This probably has something to do with the fact that the pole vaulters are carrying a huge pole while they're running, and that the 100-meter runners are only training for one specific motion, while the pole vaulting is a very complex set of movements. So, with these upper and lower bounds established, the way to go forward really depends on what we think pole vaulting technology has progressed to in the year 2100. Maybe they're pole vaulting with poles made of carbon nanotubes wrapped in graphene or something, and they're achieving near perfect energy losses. Or perhaps it hasn't progressed much further than the 6% lost today. Whatever we pick, this graphic will help give us a picture of where we should be guessing. If the aliens didn't accept my plot that allowed for technological uncertainty, and I had to wager a single number as a guess, I would say 9.35, which would be 0.23 seconds faster than the current 100-meter world record. Is there any way to tell if this is correct? Well, given that it was all based on a hypothetical number for the 2100 pole vault, it's pretty suspicious that this will be accurate, but I guess only time will tell.